Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Revel channel. I am super excited because today we are going to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta's season 14 recap. And this is going to be a recap over the whole season because my channel is new and I was debating for a minute if I wanted to review the season because I know you guys want your content super quickly, and I think I came up with an idea. So for Atlanta, Dubai, and Married to Medicine, I am going to do a full recap because mainly their seasons are either done with or almost done with. So you're going to get a full recap of the storylines, some of the fashions, with an emphasis on the reunion as well. And then for the other contents that fall within Real Housewives, stratosphere, we are going to recap on a tri-weekly basis. Is tri-weekly basis a thing? I don't know. It may not be a thing, but we're going to make that wording a thing if it's not. So I am going to give my feedback on Atlanta season 14. And I also welcome you guys to give your opinions as well as what you want to see going forward for the next season, because I believe it was just revealed they are going to be filming season 15 really soon. So let's go ahead and start with the cast. Before the show aired, we learned that they were going to be doing a cast shakeup because, let's be honest, last year you guys did not care for how that season went. But I also thought it was a great idea to keep some people while working other people in. So for this season, we got to see Kandi, Kenya, and Drew return based off of last season's cast members. We have an OG Sheree who came back, and then we have newcomer Marlo and Sanya. Even though Marlo is not really a new cast member, she was a friend of the show for like years. Now in the beginning, they definitely kept a lot of the information on a hush for this season, and I can definitely say that I appreciate that because I felt like last year, a lot of it played out in the media already, and we were kind of over it by the time that season launched. So for this season, we got to see fresher faces, fresher vibes, new fashion, different backgrounds from the women. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of the fashions really quickly, and this is only going to be based off of the confessionals. Now, when it comes to the confessionals, there weren't any terrible looks. Well, let me not say that. There were some looks that were like, but I chose to use some of the better looks. So we're going to start with Kandi. I think her best confessional looks out of these four were out of that top right, bottom left one, but I think I will go with the bottom left only because I feel like that blue look definitely pops. Her makeup here is very sleek, that high bun. I think all that worked great for her. And then when we look at Kenya, I personally think her best one is the green one. Now, the top left confessional look, I think she looks really good. I just only felt like the hair there was a little too thick compared to the other ones. But that green blazer is everything. For Sheree, hers was a little more difficult for me to choose. I feel like each one of those looked equally well, but I'm gonna go with that bottom left one. I feel like the hair is completely different from the rest of the other hairstyles, and I also feel like that reddish tone looked really good on her. Now with Drew, I'm gonna go with that top left one. I think the black hair always works for Drew, and I also like the dress, the style of it. That's just my personal preference. When I look at Marlo, I'm gonna go with that bottom right one because I feel like that tweed set definitely stands out and shows that she is a fashion girl. She knows how to pull it together, and then I love the bob look on her. And then with Sanya, I am gonna go with that top left look. I feel like the red looks great on her. The ponytail worked. I also like the one with the yellow dress. I just feel like the makeup in that was a little funny, so that's why I went with the red look. Then as far as the reunion fashions, I feel like I've already gone over that. If you have not seen that, go ahead and check out that video. I will have that in my description as well. So let's hop into these storylines. So some main points that I want to cover, these are not in any particular order. I do want to start off though with a positive note. So we're going to start off with Drop It with Drew. That came into fruition this season. Marlo launched her late archive, and I also learned that she now has a deal with Netflix where she will basically be styling one of the newer movies. Kenya Moore hair care is now on CBS, and I believe she has the opportunity for it to be in Walmart. We got to see more on Sanya's Mommy Nation, even though I feel like I wish they would have touched on that a little more so we could have seen more about that. Kandi's The Piano Lesson will be on Broadway or coming soon to Broadway, depending on, how fast this video comes out. That determines how true that statement will be. And then we finally seen She by Sheree launch this season. I also want to discuss a plethora of other storylines that had social media debating. Mainly, I want to start with Marlo versus her family. During this season, we got to see Marlo's family dynamics and her taking on the Monty role to like its fullest in the beginning. And I can definitely say it was great. definitely in the beginning of the season, that was great to see, but it kind of turned sour super fast because we learned that Marlo basically told her nephews to, telling them to get the F out. Now, Marlo has a lot of trauma, and I'm not going to take that from her, and I feel like no one should take that from her because we all have different traumas and different things we have going on or have gone through. And she also alluded to a lot of the other horrific things that has happened to her, but I feel like that was still no reason for you to kick your nephews out. I am not a parent, and I understand that Marlo has never been a parent, so there's a lot of things she has to learn, so I do sympathize when it comes to that. But I also feel like it's your job to learn what you need to learn, do what you need to do, because had you really had your own kids, you wouldn't be able to just get rid of them, so don't do that to them. And I also liked how in the reunion we got to see Candy and many others come out and basically say how you felt and what you went through is basically what you're pushing on them boys when you do that to them. So I feel like that was the downside in her storyline. Then we also learned about her dynamic with her mom, and during those scenes I felt like this is where we got to see the real Marlo. And I wish she would have definitely showcased that more during the season. And I feel like her season would have been a lot better had she showcased stuff like that more, because we would have gotten to see the reconnecting with her mom, them healing from both of their traumas. I feel like that would have definitely been more powerful than her doing all the extraness with examples like, you know, the storyline with her and Kenya. Her and Kenya has a lot of different issues that go way back to the earlier seasons. And Marlo and Kenya both have said and done a lot of things that are not cool, and both come from basically similar backgrounds, I can say that. However, I feel like this season I sympathize with Kenya a little more, only because she kind of took a back seat and just let Marlo do what she does, because you took on that villain role. Now, when it comes to their issues this season, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe their issues started because Marlo called Kenya a liar.
You don't know how to love. So if it's the love that you're saying that you have for me, I don't want that kind of love because it's not healthy love. It's toxic. So when you call me a liar, that is what I have forgiven you for. For you telling me that I was lying about having a child. And that was unforgivable. But I forgave you anyway. And I said I'm going to start anew with you. And you come right back and you accuse me of lying.
It was all kind of back and forth. I felt like that was really stupid, which eventually escalated from there. And I was here for Kenya basically paying Marlo dust in the beginning, and not acknowledging a lot of some of the things she was saying, because it's like, girl, you like to say you don't hit below the belt, you don't talk about kids, you don't talk about husbands, but Bravo proved that that is exactly what you do, and no amount of backpedaling during a reunion is going to hide that. Let me know how you guys felt about the Marlo and Kenya drama. And then Marlo also had a whole storyline, or, you know, issues with Candy.
Having in your heart, Candy, how to help other people. She's for herself. For herself. First of all, Candy everybody for free. Yeah. That good, and that's why you right here always got to date under your tax bracket, okay? Preach.
Marlo rants here were very unwarranted. Like, it definitely came out of nowhere, and it was just flat out nasty at this point. And I think this is where a lot of people kind of like was like, oh, get Marlo off the show. And I also thought how it was super weird that Sheree was just co-signing everything Marlo said, and then when both of them get to the reunion, they're like, oh, I probably did say that, I'm sorry. And there's nothing wrong with apologizing. I believe in apologizing, but if you're gonna apologize, I feel like you have to mean it, not just say it to get somebody off your back. Then we also seen Marlo say Candy does not help anybody, and let's be real, these clips here proves that Candy helps people. So I don't, like, why would you even say that? You're just throwing stuff out there. But I want to get into Marlo versus Ralph and Drew. Basically, Marlo mentioned she was triggered by Ralph not adopting Josiah, which was kind of left field, but I feel it was only brought up that way and Marlo reacted that way because Drew told her he was going to do that. So in that instance, where it's not really Marlo's place anyway, but had Drew not gone back and said anything until they knew what they were doing, or X, Y, and Z, that really wouldn't have been a big blow up or a real thing this season, other than what we would see between Drew and Ralph. Now, I will say Ralph did not help his case during the reunion. I mean, you literally forgot your third point at the reunion on the main reason why you should or shouldn't adopt a kid. And I can say his stance during the season, though, to me, was kind of valid. And that's saying a lot because I side-eye Ralph a lot since they've been on this show. But I do believe if Josiah's father wants to be in his life, he wants to step up, why would I try to take those rights away from him? And I also seen other people state that in Georgia, you can't take a parent's rights away unless they give it up or sign away their rights anyway. So there was a whole debate on that, but comment below and let me know how you felt about that storyline. And I also felt like this storyline also led into the issues with Marlo versus Candy and Todd, because Candy did jump in, and at that moment I feel like I was here for it. I was, because Marlo was just going off and it's like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. You're doing too much right now. And then Marlo decided to kind of come for Todd, say what she said that was kind of unnecessary. And Todd revealed that, you know, you had to buy your way into this group. He talked more about that at the reunion, and that's when I mentioned, you know, Marlo trying to backpedal. But Andy also looked at her and was like, girl, he did it. He confirmed it. He confirmed that she definitely did that to buy her way into the group. All in all, I just feel like when it came to Marlo, it was all a plot that Marlo set up to keep that peach. And I mean, it kind of worked because she is coming back for season 15. Then there's Drew versus Sheree and Fatum. I threw Fatum in here because she is Sheree's friend, and her and Drew had issues that stemmed because of Drew and Sheree's issue. But basically this is all over Anthony, who is just, to me, flat out messy and thrives in chaos. And we definitely seen Anthony say a lot of things about Sheree to Drew, and it kind of was revealed at the reunion that he was talking about Drew and Ralph as well, saying, you know, trying to say that Ralph is gay or whatever. And I felt like that was unnecessary, but he kind of like said, I don't recall saying it, but you did. You probably did definitely say that. And I felt like it was crazy because both of these women were arguing this whole season over somebody who's, one, not a main cast member, and two, he goes back and forth, he flip-flops. It was crazy. Now, I was here in the beginning for when Fatum hopped in, but she was basically saying, if he's saying this to her, what makes you think he's not saying this about you? You know, vice versa. But I did not like that. It was also revealed Fatum took some of Drew's items, so I feel like, don't go and take other people's personal items. Like, why are you doing the most? Why are you doing a background check on her? Y'all disagreement was not even that, you know, much for that to even be necessary. And then we had the issues with Sanya and Drew.
Boom. No. And I told you, I said, I had a conversation with Kenya today about how it's going about you. And you can have a conversation. And she's like, oh, cool. I got on the couch and she blindsided me. Why are we talking about it in front of everyone? Like, she came in my room and we talked.
This one was tricky because I also felt like, where's the issue really coming from? Now, in the beginning, we seen Sanya basically say, she said it stemmed from her not caring about Drew and the stuff that she does or how she acts or moves whenever she's around other people. But we seen Sanya basically say she tried to have that conversation with Drew in the beginning of the season. So that's important. She said she tried to have the conversation with her, but she had a lot of people in her room, so she wasn't able to have that conversation. Then when she finally talked to her about it, like, you know, same day but hours later, it was in front of all the women, and Drew basically felt blindsided. But at the reunion, we seen Sanya say, I did tell you. Drew claims otherwise.
I was stuck on that couch because, like, damn, you act like the first time you're hearing this. Did that conversation happen? Do not lie, Drew. When I went to Drew's room, she didn't have 85 people in the room because she always got the biggest entourage. I don't know if she competed with Beyonce. So the thing is, I ran down there because her makeup artist, Artez, was like, hey, because we got makeup there earlier. And I was like, it's a little fresh up on my eyes. This will take me like 5-10 minutes. So I was like, I'm gonna run down there and come. So I would have said something to her, but literally, it was like 12 people in the room. Literally, right. So I'm like, it's never a good time to talk to Drew because it's always people around. And then to me, it's like, if we're all building a friendship, this probably will be the next best place. I was trying to see her next.
And I do want to state, I've seen a lot of people say, Sanya, that shouldn't have even been an issue for you because she didn't do anything to you, which is understandable, but I also feel like it was kind of like valid at the same time, only because if you're going to hang out with somebody, if you don't care how they move, well, how I know you're not going to do that to me? But the only problem that comes in is, Sanya, you're friends with Marlo and she did the same exact thing that you're accusing Drew of. So Drew also sat down with Candy and revealed a lot more as well. And basically it kind of comes out, and I believe this one. I definitely believe this one because I feel like the argument still didn't make sense. And basically Drew was saying that Sanya was basically told to start something with Drew. That makes sense. And that's probably why that whole season everybody was looking like, what? Like, where's this issue even coming from? So personally, I don't think Sanya and Drew had that conversation that Sanya claimed. Basically, it was just a setup to come to Drew with the BS. Okay, I'm joking. I keep throwing that in there because I remember Candy's aunt saying that, and I just thought that was so funny. I just felt like that was just her way of getting things going during the season. That's just how I look at it. Since we're already talking about Sanya, let's talk about her and Ross storyline. So before the show, I knew who both of them was because I was an athlete and I kind of watched what they did. And I definitely admired Sanya's work ethic. I also watched the pivot that came on. They had an episode with both Sanya and Ross, like a couple of episodes into this season where they covered a lot of their dynamics. So it kind of opened things up a little more. And basically on the pivot, they stated that they were trying to decide if it was when was the best time to have a baby. And they basically weren't on the same page. And I kind of understand her changing her mind because she's saying now we are on the same page. But she also stated in the pivot that the real issue was him not being in the trenches for her.
We real housewives of the pivot right now.
So listen, he tells me he's gonna be in the trenches with me. He's like, oh, what do I be in the trenches with you for the first 6 months, then we get somebody. And I'm in the trench and I'm like, where is my husband in the trench?
It never really touched on issues of are you gonna be in the trenches with her. That's my only thing. So Ross, are you gonna be in the trenches with her during this? He did state in the paper that they had different parenting styles, and then on a reunion he said that they're learning how to navigate and basically bring both of their parenting styles together. But I guess we're going to see in season 15 how that plays out. And then some small minor storylines. The Kenya and Candy thing when it came to the vibrating panties. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Honestly, if you're going to play the game, you're going to play the game. If you don't want to play the game, you don't have to play the game. I personally probably wouldn't play that game with other couples around there, but that's just me. Then we're gonna talk about Sheree and Tyrone. I found that minor, but I feel like it's not really a minor storyline because that was a part of her main storyline in the very beginning. He played Sheree, but at the same time, Sheree, you kind of knew that, and I didn't care for her comments at the reunion where she tried to say, oh, well, you know, he just didn't satisfy me. Obviously, he satisfied you long enough. You just didn't like that you got played. That's just how I feel. Then there's She by Sheree. We got to see that launch and do really well. I did the review on all that. Check that out. I do want to state that I did misspeak in that video at the end. So I misspoke when I was talking about the designer. When I was speaking on the designer, I was talking about the clothes that are on the website, and which is why I thought maybe that may have been fabricated or whatever. And someone did comment and say, you know, it was revealed he was talking about X, Y, and Z, which I did already comment about. I got that information after I had did the video, which is why I commented and stated he may have been telling the truth about da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, long story short, I am going to say I was wrong. He was not speaking on the clothes on the app. He was speaking on the clothes from the episode on the finale. So, Sheree, if he definitely designed that, pay that man what he's worth. So, my final thoughts on the season. I thought the season was cool. I thought it wasn't that bad. Is it season 10 and so forth? No. But it was definitely doable compared to last season. I just felt like the reunion didn't do it justice. It was a catastrophe. I also felt like it was way too focused on Marlo trying to redeem herself. We don't need a campaign to get everybody on Marlo's side. Marlo said what she said, and I feel like she should have stayed in it. And if you're not going to stand in it and you're going to apologize, actually mean it and not give those backhanded type of apologies. I also feel like what happened to that Sanya and Drew scene that we seen that went viral all over social media.
She kept calling you a liar when she was trying to explain something that y'all were going through. And you turned around in your seat and said what you not gonna do is keep calling me a liar. Now mind you, Sanya is this close to her. And it was, the energy was given. It was about to pop off. And then everybody's like, whoa. I can't remember what she said back to you, but y'all kept going back and forth. And Andy was like, stop it. It was crazy.
How did that turn out? You know what I'm saying? Like, why was that not in there? Oh, and then side note, comment how y'all felt when Sheree said, I pay who I feel like needs to be paid. Girl, you need to pay them people. You need to pay them people. That was weird. But other than that, I feel like everybody else should come back, have other friends of the show to start working things out to flush out the casting and do better. Like, Andy also didn't feel that interested in hosting this reunion. Thank you all for watching my video. Let me know what you think, what you liked about the season, what you didn't like, and make sure to check out some of my other videos. I work really hard on my content, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you next time.